What's going on, everyone? I'm Harris Rubenstein. Welcome to another great Magic Gaming Esports Academy webinar, sponsored by Florida Blue. I'm Harris Rubenstein. Like I said, with me today, a fellow member of the NBA2K League community and a familiar face if you are a Magic Gaming fan. It is Brandon Raudenbush. Got his name right. You better know him as ToXsiK or iBall ToXsiK, depending on which part of the community you're from. The head of iBall Empire, co-founder, and now marketing coordinator for the NBA2K League. Very fancy title, member of the front office. Feeling good. So you just moved to New Jersey, and so we have to ask you, do you miss Florida? Like, do you miss Orlando? Do you miss your home? Or how you doing up there in the north?
Yeah, like I'm born and raised South Florida, like so that's in my blood, through and through. So absolutely. I mean, being away from family, friends is obviously tough, but great opportunity I have now with obviously the 2K League and what I'm doing. So adjusting a little bit to the weather. Obviously, this is not Florida weather where I'm at. And I'm sure it's going to get way worse, as you know, Harris, with winter actually coming. So I'm hunkering down. I'm getting prepared. I got the gloves. I got the beanie. I got everything ready to go. So we'll see if I survive the winter. But yeah, man, absolutely. I miss Orlando. Love my time in Orlando. Obviously, miss being in South Florida. But making the most of where I'm at now. So.
Hey, that beard is going to help you a lot. Like for the first time in your life, I know it's like it's a nice accessory piece, but now it's going to actually help keep you warm. So
I just cut it too. Like I just shortened it up a little bit. I got to keep growing it out. I guess
now that we're getting to Thanksgiving and Christmas, whatever, you gotta let it grow out. So let's start at the beginning. Obviously your start in esports wasn't on the 2K side. You started on the Halo side. I know that you were super pumped about the Halo Infinite announcement. Maybe we're all a bit disappointed after it, but talk about your introduction to the 2K community. How did you kind of jump from one to another? And God, how has it ended up all here? I mean, you've started a clan now you work for the actual league. Like it's been a long timeline. So where did it begin?
Yeah, I mean, I always, like I said, like most times I'm asked this question, I always played video games growing up, like most people. Always had a love for sports, grew up playing football, basketball, baseball. Like I dabbled in hockey, like I did everything as a kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I always had interest in like 2K, just playing it around, like more casual though, right? Like playing with my friends, just like quick match or like simple stuff like that. Obviously got involved with Halo at a young age, probably around like 13. I got introduced to Halo. I used to play with like my brother and like some of our neighbors. Actually, we used to bring our old Xboxes. If you remember, like the big fat old Xboxes, throw them in a backpack, bring them to the neighbor's house. We'd connect the Ethernet cord. Yeah. We connected from one room to another, and we played 2v2 Halo all night long. And like I fell in love with that. And then Halo 2 came around. I was about 14 years old. That was like the first online gaming experience that I had. And I absolutely fell in love, right? Just like the dynamic of it, being able to match up with people, like a ranked playlist. Like I have friends to this day that I met on that game that, I talk to daily still. And this is 15 years down the road now. So yeah, fast forward past Halo. I went and played college basketball down in Miami at St. Thomas University, where I played for 3 years. Absolutely loved my time there. But during my time there, me and my teammates, we used to play 2K in the locker room or like in the dorm room for fun. And we used to, bet like $5 game or $10 game, like who could beat who in quick match. And from there, I really got involved with 2K, really dove in 2K15. That's where they introduced like Park. Park became a thing in 2K15. And I loved the concept, absolutely loved the concept, like load into a park, playing with people, 3v3, the blacktop, the whole vibe of that was really cool for me. And that's what got me addicted. So from there, I started playing, 2K15, 2K16, 2K17, which we call the glory years in 2K.
The glory days.
Yeah, those were the glory days in 2K. And I was just, for those 3 years, I mean, I was full blown into it. Hooked. And then 2K17 is when I heard of the 2K League. That was when like rumbling started happening. You started hearing some things. I got into streaming around that time. So a lot of people in my stream would come in and say, hey, have you heard about the 2K League? And I was like, nah, that doesn't sound like something that'd be real though. NBA backing an esports league. Me coming from Halo, you would never have heard of that. Like when I started playing in esports with Halo, you never heard of nothing like that with NBA or like NFL or big companies like that getting involved in esports. It just wasn't a thing back then. So I didn't really. I honestly I didn't believe it. Then I saw it was official. Actually, a lot of my viewers came in and were like, "Look, you got to go to the combine, play in the combine." Do it for content. Even if you don't want to make the league, just do it for content. So, me, I was like, let's just do it for the content. I'll just have fun, right?
For the content.
Let's just have fun. I remember, I'll never forget this. I walked into my living room. I told my dad about it. And he's like, listen, like you'd be stupid not to just try. Like, just try, see what happens. said, all right, you know what, I'll try. And I tried, and I had like the #2 shooting guard stats in the season 1 combine. Got a phone call saying you made the draft. And I was like, still like, what does that really even mean? Right. Like, and the next thing you know, draft comes around, I'm picked by the Cleveland Cavaliers or Cavs Legion GC. And a week later, I'm on a plane with my family going to Cleveland. And I just never looked back since. I, played 4 great years in the 2K League, started off with Cleveland, like I said, then was drafted by Memphis, later on traded during that season to Orlando. I spent a year and a half in Orlando. I absolutely, again, loved my time in Orlando. Top, A1 organization from top to bottom, everything they offered us, facility. We had a trainer, like apartments were great. I absolutely loved my time in Orlando. And it was a little different for me as well. Like being able to represent your home state just feels a little bit different, right? So like that was really cool for me. And something I didn't really get to do, and I didn't have that feeling with other teams. So Orlando was always something like really close to home for me that I really loved. And then finished off my time in Philadelphia in my last season. And then from there retired, and obviously took my position now with the 2K League as marketing coordinator. So now I'm up here and, living in New Jersey. I say New York because I'm like, Harris, I'm right here.
You have to. It's the newbie
right
move. You have to say.
Who knows? No one knows. No one knows the difference.
It's
so
just
like,
what I mean. You literally live in West New York, New Jersey.
Exactly. Like
comedy.
Look, I walk outside, I see the city. So I live in New York, right? So now I'm in New York, obviously working with the 2K League as marketing coordinator. Doing my best to help grow the league and expand the league as much as I can. Because the league's done so much for me. So I'm blessed and honored to have this opportunity to help them try to get to the next level. So
you've been a part of the actual 2K community now for a very long time. And one of your greatest, I would say, additions to it has been iBall Empire. Recently started. It's really taken over these past couple of years in terms of content creators. So many guys in league, so many guys on Twitch with these huge followings who have been able to represent your brand. Why did you start iBall in the first place? Like it's definitely become like a thing now. I don't know I don't know how closely involved you are with it now because of the league, but like, what was the inception of iBall Empire?
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely say like where I was when we started to where I am now is way different. Like my involvement, I like to say we're a well-oiled machine now, and there's so many people put in place that help things, go with that. Like guys like, ToXsiK and Mar and like other people that are so involved that help that go. But yeah, at first it was honestly nothing more than like, let's play 2K together and like have a group that we can all just represent in our gamer tag and it looks cool, right? Like that's literally how it started.
Yeah,
exactly. Like it was that was exactly what it was. It was nothing more than that. And then through the years, honestly, like I just looked at opportunity of like, we could really progress this and change this into something more, right? Like obviously with the 2K League coming around, I saw an opportunity there, was grabbing some of the best players and then grabbing content creators. Content started getting bigger, after every year as well. So I looked at the space and said, we really don't have like a FaZe Clan or an Optic or like any sort of entity like that involved in the 2K community. Yeah. So why don't I try to start it, right? So that was really my biggest thing. And I really built the pillars and the foundation on like one, being talented, right? Like we wanted some of the best players in the game. And that was one thing we hung our hat on. And if you look at like the track list of guys like Dave Fry and like so many others that have been involved, that was really like the staple of like what got us popular because we won so much, right? Yeah. And from there it was adding little things, right? Grabbing content creators. Cyclonic, or what I call him Psy, has done a great job with our design team. We have a full design team of about 10 to 12 people that, do work from ESPN. They do work with different NBA teams. I mean, it's a whole operation at this point. So I'm really proud of like where we've gone from where we started. And for the future, I mean, we'll see, right? Like we're always trying to like be innovative and adaptive to like the community for one, and just esports and the space in general. So we want to do more stuff like with apparel and like different things like that. And we'll obviously continue to grab people who we feel bring value to us, whether that's content, whether that's player wise or whatever it may be. So we'll see where we go, but it's been a journey now, and 5 years we've done it, and to see where it started to where it is night and day. So, who knows what will happen in the future, but we'll see.
When you were creating it, during like the early days, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced? Was it getting people to represent the brand? Was it people just caring about it? Like, was it all of the above? Like, what was number one?
No, I mean, those are all like all the above, really, right? At first, it was like getting people to respect it, getting people to want to be a part of it. Cause you start something and it's like, oh, what is this? Like, no, this is like, I don't want, you guys are nothing. You're not relevant, da, 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 da. And then from there, like once we started gaining some traction, like I said, with winning a lot of tournaments, especially like the 3v3 tournaments, not so much pro-am in the earlier stages. It was more like, if you guys are familiar with 2K Park and stage tournaments, winning those tournaments really put us on the map. And then once I got drafted, that's when I started implementing more of the 5v5, right? So yeah, I mean, a mixture of things, right? The number one thing is getting guys who care just as much as I do. Sure. And that was important for me, and it's still important to me to this day. Because a lot of people, they'll just want to be a part of it because it's the cool thing to do, or it's just the name. But finding people who care as much as I do was really important. So that's number one. Number two, finding guys that like have low egos, right? Like sometimes I might go out and grab a big content creator who has a good following, right? How much does he want to put on for our brand and retweet things, or like take that extra mile instead of just focusing on his own content? Because now you're sacrificing away from your own content to try to build something for the greater good of a group, which is not easy as well, right? So those two things to me were probably the most challenging. And to this day still, like, we probably have a group of around 40, 45 that includes, players, operation people, designers. So getting personalities just to mesh in general, right? Like you have arguments, you have disagreements, you have a bunch of different things. So getting guys to just like mesh and get along and really buy into the brand as a whole was the hardest thing. And it still is the hardest thing, but that's just what comes with the territory.
Yeah. If you were to do it all over again, would you do anything differently, or do you kind of like how everything's worked out?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I would do much differently, honestly, because with a lot of the mistakes, I guess I made is how I learned, right? And how I made it progress to where it is now. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like maybe like there's a couple guys I might not have let in a couple years because they were just kind of like, off the edge or like on the fence a little bit. Maybe like, sure, like there's always a guy I could look back and be like, maybe he wasn't the greatest addition, but like
India, right?
Look, India somehow managed to just like slide his way in and stay in for a long time. Like I've had a couple DMs with India where I was like, look, I need more out of you, brother, or it's time to go. Nah, but India's a great guy. But yeah, like little things like that, learning like, maybe I shouldn't let that guy in, or maybe I shouldn't have posted this or done this, right? But all those things are ways for me to learn and grow and progress the brand as far as I have, right? Like I've always, even with life, right? Like a lot of your mistakes are learning experiences. I don't look at things as like mistakes. I learn it as a learning opportunity. And that's what we really done with everything with iBall year after year.
So let's say you're trying to pick up somebody new for iBall, right? I'm a content creator. I want to get into iBall, right? Sure. Where do I begin? Like, how do I kind of take that next step from being like, all right, like I've started creating content, I build a little bit of a following here. Yep. How do I go? Because at this point I'm at step B, right? Like I've done step A, I'm at step B, I'm doing my thing. How do I get from B to C? How do I kind of jump that? I don't want to say like the middle class of streamers, but like, how do you kind of progress once you've hit that middle ground?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me, especially at this stage that we're at, is like I look more beyond like someone being a great player or just like a good streamer. Like I want unique at this point, right? Like if I watch you and I just notice like there's something different about you, whether it's your energy, it's your vibe, it's your consistency, it's your quality, it's like, whatever it may be. Like if I see like you're that invested, it makes me be more invested in you. Right. And like the value you bring to us, right? So I would say for the most part, like if you're a 2K player, obviously focus on like being good at the game. That's one of the more important things. But also advance in content creation, right? So if you just started streaming, like work on being unique, right? Don't look and try to be like everyone else. Be you, be genuine. Like that's important for me. Like when I can tell when someone's being genuine or not in their content, and like I always tell people now that are involved, like I want people that I could see myself being around off the game. That's what I want. I want to be a part of a group and be around people that I can see myself off the game and off the internet, right? That's important for me. If I'm going to be around you every single day, I'm going to be brainstorming with you, buying into a brand with you. Like that's important. So be genuine, be yourself, be consistent, be unique. I think that's really important, as well as like honing on being good in the game. If you're a 2K player, if you're not, like, and who knows, maybe I expand down the road outside of 2K as well, because there is a lot of opportunities outside of just 2K. Focus more on, like I said, with the content stuff, being unique, being genuine. And I think from there, like we'll notice and we'll draw interest from that.
So let's look a little bit deeper inside of iBall. Are there any specific like big time success stories that you can think of? I'll put you on the spot here of like specific guys you've taken a chance on that really knocked it out of the park. Because I'm sure that you've definitely had scales in terms of who you picked up, right? Guys with little followings, big followings. What's been one of your give me a couple of your favorite success stories?
Yeah, I'll give you like a variety of them.
Sure.
You know, one that sticks out to me a lot is people from our design team. A couple people from our design team. Now to just give you a little bit like context, like these are people who strictly made 2K designs, like for Twitters, for YouTubes, nothing more, right? And one of our designers she's been a part of our group for I want to say 4 years now. Her name is Heather. She's jumped from working with the Dallas Mavericks to now actually I think living in Bristol, Connecticut, and like on the ESPN campus and actually making designs for like Sports Center and like First Take that you see on TV. But that's really cool to me, right? That's like awesome. That's something that I think is like super awesome. As well, another designer I'll give you, her name is Jazz. She's been involved with us for about 3 years as well. She now is working full-time for the Atlanta Hawks. She moved out to Atlanta. She does full-time graphic design for the Atlanta Hawks. Cool. As well as before that, she was doing all the designs for the Duke women's basketball team. And again, these are people that come from just making 2K designs a couple of years ago. So that's really cool to me. And then one of our bigger designers, and he does a lot of stream work. His name's Alpha. Like he's exploded onto the scene. I mean, he does stuff for all the pro athletes, guys like Anthony Davis, J.R. Smith. I mean, there's so many names I could name. He's doing a lot of stuff with like the 2Hype group now, if you guys know who that is, like Cash Nasty, LSK. He's making like different card designs, things like that. So that's really cool. Awesome. Outside of that, like player wise, a lot of the guys that I met from like 3v3 when I first started have now made that transition to 5v5. And like now you're seeing them really make a career out of the game, right? Like be top prospects for the 2K League. Guys like iBall Greens, right? Who this year is probably projected to be top 3 pick, give or take, wherever, depends on where the things, where things lie. A couple guys in the past, like Tazo, one of the strictly 3v3 player, never played 5v5, got involved with us, started dabbling in 5v5. I think he was like, Harris, correct me, like a top 10 pick, top 8 pick or something like that.
Tazo?
Yeah. With the Celtics.
5. Yeah, ended up going 5.
Yeah. So 5th overall to Boston. And these are guys, like I said, never knew they could make a career out of 2K. Just played the game because they were good, and we were able to give them a little bit of guidance and see where they got. So it's really cool to see that. This year, we're looking at seeing guys like Greens probably go top 5, Spam go top 5. And then obviously you have like success stories like Dave Fry, which I don't take any credit for his success story because he's just a guy at the game.
He's just a part of the organization, right?
Yeah,
he's the guy whose name's on the faces on the billboard.
Yeah, he's just a legend at the game. But I will say, like him being involved, like just being able to bounce ideas off him and us work together so closely and like grow a friendship. I was able to learn so much from him. And I think he learned a lot from me as well, right? Like with how to deal with certain things in certain situations. So Dave Fry, obviously a 2-time 2K League champion, just basically just wiped the board of awards this year, Harris, like one MVP, one defensive player of the year. I mean, he's done it all, right? And just retired. Yeah, and just retired. So he's probably like our biggest success story when it comes to like accolades in the 2K League. And then we got other guys, man, like content creators alone, a guy named Lai, who I've known for, since 2K18, who used to stream off his PlayStation with no webcam, no microphone, no nothing. And now he's averaging, anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 viewers, a night every time he pops up a stream. So it's just cool to see that progression. And again, I don't take any credit for that or iBall taking credit for that. Those guys had the talent and they just got consistent and stayed with it. And they now they're seeing the fruits of their labor. So
have there been any personalities over the course of your time that things haven't gone too well? Like how have you, I'm sure that so many people have come in and out of iBall. How have you handled some of those tougher personalities in the past?
Yeah. I mean, you always run into like some rotten apples, right? I guess is a phrase I can say. Yeah. I mean, I always do. And for the most part, listen, I tell them when they join, I give everyone the same speech when they join, right? You represent a brand, right? Just like when I played for the Magic, I represented the Magic. So anything I did that could ultimately harm the Magic's brand comes back on me. And it's the same thing I tell those guys, right? The way you carry yourself on social media, on streams, whatever you do, if it comes back to hurt you, it's going to ultimately come back to hurt us. And at the end of the day, that gets word to me, because when people see that, that branding in your name or in your Twitter bio or on your stream, the first person they tweet at or they DM is me.
Yep.
And I don't take that lightly. So, I tell guys all the same thing. And ultimately, if they're not able to withhold that standard that we have, then they don't match, where we're trying to go, and they won't be a part of it. It's nothing personal at the end of the day. But we just hold ourselves to a high standard, and I hold myself and my brand to a high standard. So if you can't match that standard, then you just can't be a part.
Well, let's shift gears a little bit, because obviously a big part of all these webinars has been talking about mental health inside of esports, trying to understand how people balance their own mental health with all the responsibilities that they may have. And you're a very busy guy, right? You're trying to manage this iBall community, you're trying to manage your work with the NBA2K League, and also trying to manage the gravitas that comes, with your decision making, right? People definitely look to you in this community as a trusted voice, as somebody who's, voice carries power. So, from a mental health perspective, how do you kind of keep all these balls in the air, but also make sure that, you're doing okay yourself?
Yeah. Listen, I'll be honest. Like I've had some rough patches, right? Like where I felt like, man, like I'm in, I'm deep in the dark, and like I don't feel like myself, and I'm overwhelmed and what it may be. So for me, honestly, and just strictly speaking off personal experience, it's important for me to manage my time and balance my time with everything I do. If I start doing too much content, right? If I'm doing too much streaming, I'll go crazy. If I start doing too much work, I go crazy. If I'm doing, focusing strictly on iBall too much, like I'll just go crazy. So for me, it's been important to balance my time and be in the gym. Like the gym for me is a huge stress reliever. It's something I make it a habit every single day to go, even when I don't want to go, because I know it just clears my stress, it clears my mind, and it's my reset button for the day, right? Anytime I feel overwhelmed, anytime I feel like I just got too much going on, I'm able to take that hour and a half to go to the gym, and it clears my mind, and I feel like a brand new person. So that for me has been most important. And I will say, like when I was a player, like there's a lot of stress as a player, right? Like one, you want to play good yourself because you want to be retained. Two, you want to win a lot of money because there's a lot of money on the line outside of just making your base salary. And then three, like everyone wants to do good. You don't want to hear about like, oh, this guy was trash, this. You don't want to hear that. Like you want to do good. These organizations do so much for you that you want to win for them, right? So there's a lot of stress there. But like one thing I'll say about the Magic, that was the only team that offered us a personal trainer. And like I can't say that enough. Like they made it mandatory for us to go to our personal trainer 2 times a week. If you wanted to go more, you could, but they made it mandatory for us to go 2 times a week. And that made a world of a difference for me personally. Because like if you have a bad day at practice, you can just boom, we're connected right there at the gym. We went to the trainer. I didn't even think about it, right? On to the next day. So for me, yeah, like I'll say for me, personal experience, the gym, balancing my time. When you feel like you're getting a little bit overwhelmed, you're doing too much, stop doing what you're doing and focus on something else. If that's going on a run, if that's playing basketball, if that's going lifting weights, whatever it may be, find time to like keep yourself healthy, eat healthy. I think it will go, a long way for a lot of people and clear your mind and really help you with like that mental health and that stress.
How have you, as kind of the head of an organization, have people come to you and asked you, like, hey, I'm struggling with this or this or this. Can you help me out with stuff? Like, have you kind of been put in those situations as a manager, or has it been a lot of just you kind of maneuvering through all of the, the individual chaos that comes with esports?
No, I mean, for sure. Absolutely. Like, I think a lot of the guys that are involved with me in like maybe just in the 2K community alone, right? Like they may see me as a success story in the community. And well, I will say like, that's very humbling and I appreciate that. And they'll come to me and ask questions, right? Hey, ToXsiK, like I'm discouraged about this, or like this is not working for me, or hey, like what can I do to try to really make this a career? Like, like I love this so much. Like, what can I do to try to get to like, some things you've gotten to and you've accomplished? So for me, like I always am very genuine. I try to keep it very honest and let them know, like, the trials and tribulations I've gone through and some of the things I've done to get through that. Like, will that work for them? I don't know, but all I can do is give them my personal experience and kind of be a guide and give them advice when it's needed. Some of these younger guys, right? Like, especially with like social media and things like that, I take my social media very serious. It's a whole nother, a brand platform for me to, I've had a lot of opportunities come through social media. So getting a lot of these younger guys in 2K community who have a lot of talent to understand, like, take that serious. Don't be posting whatever. Don't be saying whatever. Don't be retweeting whatever, because it can come back to haunt you down the road, and you don't want that, right? So yeah, I mean, I'm always giving advice wherever it's needed. If I have, the right advice to give, but yeah, I mean, I'm always just trying to help anyone out as much as I can, whether it may, whether it's through 2K or streaming or whatever the case may be.
Well, helping people out. Congratulations. We have 3 winners for our NBA 2K23 giveaway.
Like
Jay Williams, Artie Warren, and Jonathan L. Check your Zoom messages for your codes.
Wow.
Congratulations. Little free 2K on a Wednesday night.
There you go.
Tox, let's close things out here. The Celtics are about to start playing, and so are the rest of the
who the
teams,
Celtics playing? Hold on.
Cavs tonight.
Okay,
Darius
that's
Garland
a good one.
returning to
That's
basketball.
a good one. Yeah.
I know the Magic are tipping off, I believe, in a couple minutes as well.
All right.
So we'll wrap here. Any final tips that you would give to an aspiring content creator? We've talked a lot here about, you're starting in the community, you creating iBall, managing your mental health. Any number one tips you want to give out?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say the number one thing for me is, especially when I started, was being consistent. I think that's the number one thing. Stay consistent. You're gonna listen, like viewership and things like that fluctuate so much. And everyone starts off at 0. Okay. So don't get discouraged if like you post a video or you start a stream and you have 0 viewers or 0 views on your video. Everyone starts at 0. So the most important thing is control what you can control when especially making content, and be consistent, be unique, try different things, see what works, see what doesn't work, and start running with things that you see that work. As well as take advantage of like every platform. I think when I first started, Harris, like it was like just Twitch, right? Or you could post YouTube videos. Now it's like Twitch, YouTube Shorts, IG Reels, TikTok. Like there's so many different platforms now for you to get noticed and hit an algorithm, especially on TikTok. It's crazy how like you can get noticed. So I would say take advantage of all your different platforms. Don't spend like 10 hours a day just streaming and seeing no growth. Cut that down to maybe 3 or 4 hours and use that other time to work on a YouTube edit and an IG reel and a TikTok video and stuff like that. And I think you'll start to see that really help and progress, and you'll start seeing a lot of platforms grow at one time, and you'll get a lot of success from that down the road. So stay consistent, take advantage of all the platforms, and I think you'll be in good shape.
Well, thank you, Tox. I appreciate it all. If we have any, we do have one chat question. So here's the chat question. Tox, do you have any recommendations on how best to prepare or train that helped you become better and become a better player for the 2K League? Like any sort of esports training?
Yeah, what I'll say, and this may be hard for a lot of people, but especially like in Halo, a lot of the things I learned for 2K, I learned from Halo, because that was like where I played, obviously I started off at a professional level in Halo. If you feel like you're the best person in your group and the best person like you're playing against, if you're just absolutely like destroying everyone you play against, start finding groups of better players and really challenging yourself, right? Like it may be frustrating and it may be annoying at first, but finding those groups where you can learn little things and adapt to your game is going to take you a long way, right? Now as well, with so much different content and things available to you as a player, take advantage of like watching streams or watching YouTube videos, right? You have these pro players that are, especially on 2K, that are streaming like these finals of these tournaments every day, or like if it's a guy like, I'll just give an example, like a Day Fryer, whoever it may be, who has success and things in a game that you want to be successful in, watch them, right? Watch them and take tips from them, take little things from them. You're not going to be that person, but you can grab little things you see from them in a game and adapt it to your game. So yeah, my biggest thing would be like advance with who you're playing with, try to play against better people, get involved in different things, different tournaments to challenge yourself. And watch content on guys who are successful that you can grab little tips and tricks from to apply to your own game.
Well, that's about as good as it's gonna get as a tip for an up and comer. So Tox, thank you for your time. You can follow him on Twitter at ToXsiK, though it's a bit interesting to spell, so I'll spell it for everyone. It's ToXsiK. You can find him on Twitter and all of the social medias. Brandon Raudenbush, the current marketing coordinator for the 2K League, former Magic Gaming player. Thanks for joining us, and thank you to everybody who stuck around. We've been doing a lot of these webinars, so keep an eye out for the next one. Sounds like the next one might be on Twitch, so check out the Magic Gaming Twitch channel. That's twitch.tv/Orlando Magic Gaming. So might be there next time, but for now, we appreciate you guys coming by. Tox, thanks again, and we'll see everybody next time.
Yep. Thank you, guys.